Hey guys, and welcome to Saturday, August 15th, 2020. This is the MLB DFS Slurve video here at No Huddle Fantasy Sports. As always, thank you so much for navigating over to the channel here, finding this video. If you haven't done so already, if you're new here, whatever it might be, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I'm publishing MLB DFS content every single day, and we've been pretty much on fire for the last couple of weeks. Tonight, we are talking specific baseball DFS for the main slate. 7 total games, whether you're playing on DraftKings or FanDuel. Should be starting around 7 o'clock, 7:07 to be exact in terms of the main slate. We have a bunch of different things going on, whether it's weather, not a lot of pitching to pick from, or in general, we have another Texas-Colorado in Colorado game. It should be another interesting night. Compared to last night, which I did believe was going to be the absolute best night of the season, it didn't turn out to be, and mainly because of this guy right here, the FanDuel app, which we'll be diving into. So a lot of the picks in these Slurve videos, of course, apply directly to FanDuel. The pricing is displayed as FanDuel's pricing in the app. But the analysis, everything would carry over to DraftKings. You just have to compare the prices and make sure it's still a value or worth it in terms of some of the players. But talking specific FanDuel here, I wouldn't be disappointed if you did jump over to DraftKings simply because, man, they dropped the ball yesterday. FanDuel had a massive, I guess, down in terms of their app, their DFS platform. It all went down about an hour before lock yesterday. And again, I was talking that slate up as one of my favorite slates of the season. So it's very, very disappointing. The slate lock was around 6:30. So you're talking 5 or 5:30. FanDuel absolutely dropped the ball. You couldn't get in to set new lineups. You couldn't pick contests. You couldn't see things in terms of your history. You couldn't edit lineups. It was an absolute disaster. And I'm not talking just baseball. I mean, if you were playing any sport, which a lot of people are playing NBA right now, just an absolute disaster. I think if you did play and you lost money, they are refunding your money, which is good. But man, really just dropped the ball. But it turned out for the better simply because DeGrom ended up not being on that slate. He was scratched. Frankie Montas was scratched, the pitcher for Oakland. Both guys we talked about. There was just a bunch of weird situations that you had to deal with in terms of the actual baseball slate and in the baseball teams. In terms of this slate, no post moments, nothing dealing with COVID. The St. Louis team did test positive for COVID, or no, Cincinnati. There was a player on Cincinnati that tested positive. So that game, if you're playing the early slate, which you probably already missed it if you're watching this video. So that's postponed for Saturday and Sunday. In general, outside of that, there's nothing really to worry about. There is one weather concern, and that is in the Baltimore game. Washington at Baltimore. 29-30% chance of rain in that game. It's a 7:30 game, so be very careful. I'll talk about them a little bit, both from a pitching perspective and a stack perspective. I do have some interest one way or the other. But again, be very, very careful. It looks like there's a little bit of rain in most of the other games, 1-2%. Just pay attention. Follow Kevin Roth on Twitter. Make sure you're also following us at No Huddle FS. I post the picks, the final thoughts right before lock. So again, we don't have lineups. We don't have Vegas lines at their final numbers. A lot of things can change within the next few hours. So make sure you pay attention over on Twitter. I'll give you my final thoughts there, and then for weather too, of course, make sure you pay attention to that. So let's jump into pitch. Let's stop wasting time. These are supposed to be quick videos. Patrick Corbin's your most expensive guy here. Very, very quickly. I don't mind it if you want to play him from a statistical perspective. I don't like guys on the road. It's a little scary. And then coupled with that is the fact that there is a 30% chance or some rain should be in that game. It's a high total in that game. It's just a weird situation. I don't think you should spend, in my opinion, $10,600 on FanDuel on a guy, a single pitcher format where he could only go a few innings before rain starts. He could get screwed up by a late start, whatever it might be. So I'm avoiding Patrick Corbin. Where I'm going to go first is Christian Javier here. Might be a popular guy. $7,800 on FanDuel is a little steep for him, but we don't have many options here. I mean, are you going to play? I mean, who are half these guys? We don't even know. It doesn't matter. We're going to go with Christian Javier. For Houston, pitching at home, you have to like that. Home pitchers always have a little bit of an advantage. Houston is a big, big favorite here. I do like that. I like to take guys that are obviously favorites. Hopefully you can get that quality start. You can get that W, big point totals for FanDuel specifically. Houston here, though, 68% chance given by Vegas to win the game. So you got to like that for Javier. And then on top of that, I think the second lowest total on the slate is the Seattle Mariners in terms of runs projected at 3.98. So not a lot of damage expected to be coming from Seattle. If this guy can pitch 5 or 6 innings, possibly give up a run or 2, that's okay. And we've seen 8 strikeouts out of him. So if we can get 6 or 7 strikeouts against the Seattle team, get the quality start, get the W at $7,800, I think he pays off. I wouldn't call him safe because he doesn't have a lot of history, but he's an affordable mid-tier option that, amongst the others, in my opinion, is the best way to go tonight. And then that price does help you get some more expensive bats in one way or the other. The other way I would go here, and this is specific to FanDuel, so maybe we can take advantage of this. They have been at times quick to correct it, but they haven't. So Frankie Montas is listed as the pitcher for Oakland. Had interest in him last night, would have interest again today, but the thing is he's not starting today. Frankie Montas might play tomorrow in a situation, again, that's good, so we'll come back to that, but he's not starting. This pitcher that's starting tonight is Manea, and he's not listed as a starter or as a probable on FanDuel, which could be key in this situation. I'm not saying he's a great pitcher. He's had actually some really rough starts, but he's in a great situation pitching in San Francisco, a park that is very favorable to pitchers. San Francisco's lineup is absolutely terrible, so it's a good situation. Similar for the same reasons I would like Montas. Similar for the same reasons I'd like Oakland's pitcher last night, whoever that was. But 3.99 is the projected total for San Francisco. Very, very low total. We always like pitchers playing teams under 4 as a projected run total. You have that situation here. He is on the road, which is a bit tough to swallow, but we're going to do that here. And the other thing is Oakland is a favored away team. So we're getting still that favorite just slightly, but we do like that. He hopefully will get that W. Oakland is a stack I don't necessarily like, but if they can get this W for him, and it could be a good situation for a very, very low price, $6,400. Again, there's not a lot to talk about in terms of his game log. There's nothing great on there. But if you go back to last year, he was very solid in the, what do we have, 2, 4, 6 or 7 starts. I mean, you're talking 30, 58, 46, 29, 40 FanDuel points. He showed 10 strikeout upside in a game where he went 7 innings. I don't think we're going to get that. But if we can get 5 innings, give up a run or 2, maybe get 5 or 6 strikeouts at $6,400 with a quality start and a win, you can't beat that. People might not see this either. So again, I think that the key here is if he doesn't get listed as probable on FanDuel, you might be able to steal him at some really, really, really low ownership, which is a huge advantage on this slate. So those are really the only 2 guys I am considering. I talked about how, if we can scroll up here, Patrick Corbin, just the rain situation, not in a good spot. Buehler is a fine pitcher, but on the road in LA is a bit dangerous. A lot of people are probably going to play German Marquez, if I pronounce it German, but Marquez here. He's a great pitcher. I love taking him against really bad teams at home because of Colorado being that low ownership, or on the road. I'm just not doing it today. Texas is too loaded with left-handed bats versus a righty here. People can make that mistake. Maybe it'll come back to bite me, but I'm not doing that. But moving on to stacks here, the first stack I want to mention, and again, keep this in mind, this is based upon weather. So if you're worried about the weather, please make sure you check. This complete stack will go away if the weather is really suspect and supposed to be bad. But if I'm going to pronounce this guy's name correctly, oh man, Asher Wojciechowski. Asher. We'll just go Asher. Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. This guy, $6,600, not the greatest pitcher in the world. He is pitching at home, but we always like stacks on the road. And for that reason, I like the Washington. It's my favorite stack on the night from a numbers perspective. They're facing a righty. They're loaded with, Juan Soto. Adam Eaton has a really good price at $2,500. Howie Kendrick's even a decent price. He's been hitting the ball pretty well as of late. Let me see who else. Is he second? Yeah. $2,800 for Howie Kendrick. You can go one of my favorite values of the day, Eric Thames, lefty, $2,200. Not saying this guy's hitting the ball very well, but if he's going to be that cheap in that lineup, and then Cabrera, I guess Trey Turner, Cabrera, there's a number of ways you can go. We stacked them the other day. They scored 15 total runs. I think they're in an equally good spot today in Baltimore. Baltimore, a park that favors hitters here. Wojciechowski is just not a good pitcher. Bring up some stats for him. Career Wise, again, not a lot of innings. He's pitched about 150 total innings in his career in MLB. 389 to lefties, WOBA 325 to righties. Coming down here, 565 xFIP to lefties. So clearly lefties. So your Thames, your Cabrera, your Sotos, your Eatons all have a huge platoon advantage or split advantage against him. He's given up 2.03 home runs per 9 to lefties. So Wojciechowski is just getting absolutely crushed by lefties so far in his career. He's pitching at home again, a park that just does not favor pitchers very, very well. I really like the Washington stack tonight, but again, please be patient. Make sure you check the weather at 6:30, 7 o'clock before lock, because you might have to pull away from this if things look pretty ugly in terms of weather. At this point in time, early on Saturday, I can't give you a clear answer of whether or not that game is going to be a go or no go or postponed or whatever it might be. So please keep that in mind. But I do like Washington as a stack early on. Number 2, I think we're going to go with the Houston stack here. Anytime Houston is playing a left-handed pitcher, it's a good situation. They've always, as a heavy right-handed lineup, been able to crush lefties. At first, I was worried they weren't hitting much this year, but as of late, they have still, come back to that normal stance where they do take advantage of lefties. And they're pitching against this guy here, Nick Margevicius for Seattle, playing on the road. Has been okay, doesn't have a ton of innings. If you click into his actual log here, he's kind of pitched what looks like out of the bullpen to start the season, 30, 38, and 61 pitches. So they've ramped him up a little bit, but I don't think he's going to make it. You're going to get to that Seattle bullpen very, very early, and that's what you really like about this. Seattle's bullpen is arguably the worst in all of baseball. If Houston can get to that early, they're going to put up a crooked number. They've been doing it the last couple of nights against Seattle. Again, you're facing another lefty here. I don't know why Seattle lined up all these lefties against this heavy right-handed lineup for Houston, but Houston in a good spot, as I mentioned. They are second on the board, projected at 6.02 runs tonight. So very, very high total for a team outside of Coors. Anything above 5 is great. You go above 6 and it's a great number. And you have, as I mentioned, a number of great bats here, whether it's Springer, Correa, Bregman. If you want to go Altuve's price needs to be below $3,000. That's my opinion. He has not hit the ball well. I mean, at all. I do not. I'm not going to play Altuve probably tonight, but you can if you want. You can go a number of different ways, and you can play the lefties. I don't know if Brantley's going to be in the lineup. They've been playing their younger guy in those situations, which is Alvarez. I think he hit his first home run last night. He did. All good spots. Like I said, don't be afraid of the left-on-left matchups, because this guy's going to come out of the game early. You're going to face that bad Seattle bullpen very, very quickly. If you go with the lefties, you might get some lower ownership. But very quickly, I want to give you some stats on this guy. Nothing really impressive. He's pitched about 65 total innings in his career in baseball. Has actually been worse against lefties with a 464 WOBA, 326 to righties, so neither good on either side of the plate. 578 xFIP to lefties, 462 to righties, giving up 2.5 plus home runs per 9 to lefties, 1.61 to righties. Has a very, very low K rate of 12% to lefties, 19% to righties. So just not a very good pitcher in this Margevicius. I think you can definitely take advantage of him here with the Houston stack. Going with righties, going with lefties, wherever you want to go with it, I think it's fine. Huge run total projected. Probably will garnish a lot of ownership tonight, but I think you're okay here. Again, this becomes my favorite stack if that Washington game looks pretty ugly from a weather perspective. Now, I purposely skipped the Colorado game because, it goes without question, you can always stack these guys, these teams. A lot of people are going to stack against Kyle Gibson for good reason. He's not the greatest pitcher in the world. Seattle got 4 runs against him, and we're taking pitchers against them left and right. Kyle Gibson, not a good spot. A lot of people are going to take Colorado. I think I'm going to flip the thing here and go. So first of all, Colorado projected at 6.46 runs, number 1 on the board. And for the first time in a while, because of Marquez and his numbers, you have the away team of Texas. I think they're the 4th or 5th in terms of runs projected on the night at 5.04. So again, still a very, very healthy number above 5, but in terms of a Colorado game, very low. I think we can take advantage of that. I think Texas bats are going to go low-owned. Marquez, as I mentioned, has had a really good season, even at home. Look, San Francisco, he had 9 strikeouts, 53 points. His best game came at home in Colorado. But just quickly, his numbers, I'm not saying he's not good. 331 to lefties, 300 to righties. Home and away, obviously much worse at home. If you come down here, is a very, very much a ground ball pitcher when he's not striking guys out. He has a decent, healthy strikeout rate of 20% to lefties, 28% to righties. Marquez is a good pitcher. I'm not trying to debate that, but he's pitching at home and things can go haywire. I want to scroll back here to Marquez's actual game log and talk about what can happen. In 2019, you can see here, he pitched against in late July 15th, 2019, pitched at home against a very weak, again, San Francisco team, had -16. He pitched 2 innings and gave up 11 earned runs at home. And he had a great season. Again, a very good away pitcher. But that's what can happen to good pitchers in Colorado. So for that reason, let's take a stack against him. I'm going to take a stab here. I'm not going to make this my main stack, but I am interested in Texas bats. You have Joey Gallo. You have Sin-Soo Choo. You have Calhoun, who's a decent price. Hopefully will start hitting soon. You have Odor. Very, very good left-handed bats. Heavy, powerful left-handed bats. Might go low owned tonight because a lot of people, A, are going to be starting Marquez, and B, are going to be avoiding them because they're not one of the top 3, top 4 Vegas projected teams. So I don't mind Texas at all tonight as a road team in Colorado. Again, at any given time, you saw it. 11 earned runs for Marquez last year at home versus San Francisco. I think that certainly can happen tonight if all things go right. And that's what you have to do here on these smaller slates. You have to find some leverage, find somewhere where we can take advantage. I think taking Texas here, which sounds weird, taking a team in Colorado might be lower owned. I think it's a good spot here, given the pitching situation and everything else I've talked about. So some one-off bats I want to mention. If you want to stick with Colorado, Blackman in a good spot. He's a good spot. He's hitting like 900, so I mean, you could just take him anytime. Pham for San Diego. They have a decent total tonight, actually. But Pham here, $2,900. He's a good hitter. 188 ISO. He is a righty versus a lefty. 388. I think highest on the team in terms of that split matchup. 388 WOBA. I like Will Myers from that same game. Just a little bit more power from Will Myers, so you got to like that. 235 ISO when facing lefties, so a good spot for him. Sticking with that same game, Machado is in a good spot. Again, everybody knows Machado, $3,600, 259 ISO, so very, very solid ISO when facing a left-hander. I do want to talk about JD Martinez. I think a lot of people are going to be kind of staying away from this Boston-New York game. Whatever. I mean, I'm going to take JD Martinez. It's that left on right or right on left in his case matchup. He crushes lefties. James Paxton is not a good pitcher anymore. I think he's in a good spot. We just saw him and took him the other night in terms of Martinez versus a lefty. $3,600. Come on, man. Let's just do it. It's a great price on JD Martinez. Talked about some of these other guys. Willie Calhoun. I talked about Joey Gallo, Sin-Soo Choo, Adam Eaton I showed you earlier. He's in a really, really good matchup and a very solid price at $2,500. I talked about the Houston stack. You can go with Springer. If I can bring him up here, $3,700. He's probably my favorite bat from that Houston stack. Carlos Correa. Sorry, I've got to click the... Carlos Correa in a good spot. Trey Turner, if you're going to go with the Washington. Talked about him a little bit. Thames, brought him up. Really, really cheap price on Thames. Yeah, $2,200 on Thames. Tony Kemp, if you were really looking for a cheap price here. Tony Kemp is bad. I think he moved up to second for Oakland, especially when facing right-handers here. So $2,000, man. I like that. I like that a lot. That's really it. I mean, those are some of my favorite bats. I talked about our pitchers. Again, we can go with Manea, but you might have to search for him here, and that could help us. If we could find it. Wasted a long time. Manea, and then Christian Javier is the other guy you could go with here for Houston, of course. So those are kind of my picks on the day. I hope you guys are enjoying these quicker videos. Hopefully these are helpful. We have been crushing it. Please let me know something down in the comments below, whether you have some insight on tonight's slate, how you did last night, if you played FanDuel, if anything, shaped up in your favor during that whole fiasco. Please let me know some of your favorite picks down below. But as always, thank you so much for finding this channel, clicking on these videos. Please help me out here. Just give me a like on the video. That's all you got to do. Make sure you are subscribed, share these videos, all that nonsense. fans. I do really appreciate you, like I said, tuning into these videos and supporting No Huddle Fantasy Sports. Make sure you follow me over at No Huddle FS on Twitter. I will post final thoughts right before lock. Please check down below. I will link Daily Fantasy Nerd. That's the optimizer I use. It has a lot of statistics, a lot of great information I used to put this video together. While we were going through this app, I was on Daily Fantasy Nerd. It also serves as a bankroll manager, a lot of different things. It's free for a month if you click the referral link down below. I would really appreciate you help the channel by doing that too. Outside of that, I wish you the best of luck tonight. Take it pretty easy. It's only 7 games, a lot of weird pitching situations, not a lot of great pitchers on the mound. So take it easy tonight. But as always, good luck, and I'll catch you in the next video.